and today we are beginning a new life history. And today we'll be focusing on Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, who is Queen Elizabeth II's last born son. So if you haven't previously already seen it, we've done Queen Elizabeth II's life history. We also did Princess Royal, Princess Anne's life history. That is Queen Elizabeth II's daughter. Princess Anne, we did her life history, and that's in the playlist section and on the community tab. So if you'd like to catch up with those, you can feel free to do so after this one. So today we'll be talking about Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. And the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So let's go. Brand new series. I'm excited, are you? Let's go. Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. Edward Anthony Richard Louis, born 10th March 1964, is a member of the British royal family. He is the youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh at the time, and the youngest sibling of King Charles III. He was born third in line of succession to the British throne and is now 14th. So Prince Edward is now 14th in line to the British throne. Okay, let's continue. Born at Buckingham Palace during the reign of his mother, Edward studied at Heatherdown School and completed his A-levels at Gordonstone, sorry if I mispronounced that, Gordonstone, before spending part of his gap year teaching at Wanganui, sorry for mispronouncing that, Collegiate, sorry for mispronouncing that, school in New Zealand. He then went up to read history at Jesus College, Cambridge, graduating in 1986 with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Cambridge University. After a brief stint in the Royal Marines, he worked as a theatre production assistant at the Really Useful Theatre Company before assisting in television production. He later formed his own company, Ardent Productions. Wow, interesting. Let's continue. Edward stepped down from the company in 2002 to begin full-time duties as a working member of the royal family and undertook engagements on behalf of his mother. He holds patronage with over 70 charities and organizations. Wow, that's huge. Well done to Prince Edward. That's a lot. 70 charities. That's amazing. Let's continue. He holds patronage with over 70 charities and organizations, including the National Youth Theatre, the Sport and Recreation Alliance, and the British Paralympic Association. His charity work focuses on the arts, athletics, and the development of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, which centres around fitness, well-being, and community service. See, Prince Edward is one of the ones who likes a quiet life as well. So he does all of his work behind the scenes, and he is very, very, I'll say, loyal, and he likes to keep low key. So that means he's very, very passionate, and he is very genuine. That's the word I was looking for. He's genuine in all his commitments. I love the way he keeps, and he kept low key. And he was the only one of the Queen's 4 children not to get a divorce. And I pray and pray that his marriage will continue to be successful. So they look like a lovely couple. Let's continue. Edward was created Earl of Wessex prior to marrying Sophie Rees-Jones in 1999. They have two children, Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor and James Mountbatten Windsor, Earl of Wessex. Edward's mother conferred him the additional title of Earl of Forfar in 2019. That's the first I've heard of that. Earl of Forfar. Because previously I've heard of Earl of Wessex, and I've heard of what was the other one? Viscount Severn. I've heard of that before, but I've never heard of Earl of Forfar. Interesting. Okay, let's continue. Edward's mother conferred him the additional title of Earl of Forfar in 2019. On Edward's 59th birthday in 2023, his brother Charles III granted him the title Duke of Edinburgh as a life peerage. Oh, how sweet. I know that they have a very, very tight and close, nice sibling relationship. I've noticed that between the Queen's children. Beautiful. Let's continue. His brother Charles III granted him the title Duke of Edinburgh as a life peerage, a dukedom previously held by their father, who died in 2021, then briefly by Charles himself. Amazing. So that brings us to the end of session number 1. So that was a little introduction to Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. And the next session will be session number 2, and that will be talking about his early life and education. Prince Edward's early life and education. That will be our next session number 2. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. Feel free to catch up. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So today we will be continuing on with Prince Edward's life history, and previously we discussed session number 2, which was called early life and education, and today's session is session number 3, which is called post-university, and it's split into 3 sections, which is Royal Marines, Theatre and Television, and Ardent Productions. Just before we begin, if you haven't already caught up, we have a playlist for Prince Edward's life history on the community tab, and in the playlist section also you'll find Princess Anne's life history, that's his sister, and Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and that's his late mother. So yeah, you'll find those in the playlist section and in the community tab. Okay, so let's get on with reading, and the source I am reading from is Wikipedia. So let's go. Post-university in terms of Prince Edward's life history. Royal Marines. After graduating in 1986, Edward joined the Royal Marines, who had reportedly sponsored his tuition at Cambridge on condition of future service. He had signed up to join the Royal Marines in September 1983. In January 1987, he dropped out of the Commando course, having completed 1/3 of the 12-month training. Media reported that Prince Philip, who was the Captain General Royal Marines, was displeased. But Prince Edward later said that his father had not put undue pressure on him to change his mind. Oh, that's good. That's a good father. Not putting too much pressure on your kids is very important. Yeah, glad he did that. Let's continue. Others stated that Philip was the most sympathetic family member towards his son's decision. Buckingham Palace said that Edward's decision came after much consideration and that he was to apologise. Edward's decision came after much consideration and that he was leaving with great regret, but has concluded that he does not wish to make the service his long-term career. That's another thing, being true to yourself, very important. So that's the reason why he dropped out, because he felt like it was not going to be his future long-term career. Okay, let's continue. We are now on to theatre and television in terms of Prince Andrew's life history. After leaving military service, Edward opted to pursue a career in entertainment. He commissioned the 1986 musical Cricket from Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice for his mother's 60th birthday celebration, which led to a job offer at Lloyd Webber's really useful theatre company, where he worked as a production assistant on the musicals such as The Phantom of the Opera, Starlight Express, and Cats. While there, he met actress Ruthie Henshaw, whom he dated for 3 years. Oh, wow. Never heard of that. The only person I've heard of is Sophie Rhys-Jones. But let's continue. Edward's first foray into television production was the program The Grand Knockout Tournament, informally known as its A Royal Knockout on 15th of June 1987, in which 4 teams sponsored by him, his siblings, Anne, and Andrew, and Andrew's wife Sarah competed for charity. The program was criticized by the media and the public. What doesn't the media criticize? They've always got something to say. Anyway, let's keep going. And it was later reported that the Queen was not in favour of the event, with her courtiers having advised against it. Okay, the program raised over £1,500,000 for its selected charities. Hope I got that right. Is it 1.5 million? It's 1,500, 000. So is that 1.5 million? Correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm right. Let's continue. We are now on to Ardent Productions in terms of Prince Edward's life history. So in 1993, Edward founded the television production company Ardent Productions. Ardent was involved in the production of a number of documentaries and dramas, but Edward was accused in the media of using his royal connections for financial gain. Really? Our beloved Prince Edward? No. The one who always keeps low-key and always does things genuinely. I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. But let's keep reading. Let's read that again. But Edward was accused in the media of using his royal connections for financial gain. And the company was referred to by some industry insiders as a sad joke. Oh my goodness, not very nice, were they? Due to a perceived lack of professionalism and in its operations. Let's read that again. Edward was accused in the media of using his royal connections for financial gain, and the company was referred to by some industry insiders as a sad joke due to a perceived lack of professionalism on its operations. Andy Beckett, writing in The Guardian, opined that to watch. Let's read that again. I'm getting lost with my train of thought here with all this kind of horrible words towards our Prince Edward. Let's keep going. Let me try to read that again. Andy Beckett, writing in The Guardian, opined that to watch Ardent's few dozen hours of broadcast output is to enter a strange kingdom where every man in Britain still wears a tie, where pieces to camera are done in cricket jumpers, where people clasp their hands behind their backs like guardsmen. Commercial breaks are filled with army recruiting advertisements or advertisements. Yeah, not very positive, was it? Let's continue. Oh, the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia, by the way. Yeah, don't like too much negativity. If you want to corroborate what I'm saying, yeah, go and have a look at Wikipedia after this. But let's continue. Ardent's productions were better received in the United States. And a documentary Edward made about his great uncle, Edward VIII, the late Duke of Windsor, in 1996, sold well worldwide. Okay. Nonetheless, the company reported losses every year it operated, with the exception of one, when Edward did not draw a salary. Oh no. An ardent two-man film crew later allegedly invaded the privacy of Edward's nephew, Prince William. Oh, in September 2001, when he was studying at the University of St. Andrews, which went against industry guidelines regarding the privacy of members of the royal family. William's father, Edward's elder brother Charles, was reportedly angered by the incident. In March 2002, I do apologize. In March 2002, Edward announced that he would step down as production director and joint managing director of Ardent. Okay, that was a wise decision. I think so. So he stepped down to concentrate on his public duties and to support the Queen during her Golden Jubilee year. Ardent Productions was voluntarily dissolved in 2009 with assets reduced to just £40. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That was quite interesting. Never knew any of that. So that brings us to the end of session number 3. History, and the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia, in case you'd like to catch up there. Also, I've created a playlist, an audio playlist of the sessions we've been doing so far. So in the playlist, after this live stream, I'll include this session number 3. So that will make it 3 parts. At the moment, there's 2 in there. And also on the community tab and in the playlist section, you'll find Princess Anne's life history and also Queen Elizabeth II's life history. So they are on the community tab and in the playlist section. I do thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Please thumbs up if you haven't already, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So today we will be continuing on with Prince Edward's life history. And if you have previously missed our previous episodes, you'll find it in the playlist section and on the community tab. And the playlist is called Prince Edward's Life History. So previously in session number 3, we discussed post-university. And today's session is session number 4, and it's called Marriage and Children. And the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So let's go. Edward met Sophie Rhys-Jones for the first time in 1987 when he was dating her friend. Oh, interesting. They met again at a promotion shoot for the Prince Edward Summer Challenge to raise money for charity in 1993. and the two began their relationship soon afterwards. In December 1993, amid growing speculation about whether they were planning to marry, Edward wrote a letter to newspaper editors in which he denied any wedding plans and asked the media to respect their privacy. Quite rightly. That's one thing I've admired about this couple. They have kept a low profile, and that's probably why their marriage is so good and everlasting. Just to let you know that if you don't know, Prince Edward and Sophie, their marriage has lasted, and they've been the only one of the Queen's children's marriage to survive this far. And I pray that they'll continue going just like the Queen and Prince Philip till death do they part. So they're a lovely couple, and pray that they stay together forever and ever. That's really nice. Let's continue. Edward proposed to Sophie on holiday in the Bahamas in December 1998, and their engagement was announced on 6th of January 1999. Edward proposed to Sophie with an Asprey and Garrett engagement ring worth an estimated £105,000. Wow. A 2-carat oval diamond flanked by 2 heart-shaped gemstones set in 18-carat white gold. Beautiful. Must say, I haven't actually seen her ring before. So if you are interested, you can Google it. I think I'm going to Google it later, just out of interest. I've seen quite other royals. Catherine Princess of Wales ring was famous because Diana already wore it. We know it's blue diamond, blue sapphire with diamonds on it. So Sophie's one sounds interesting. I might go and have a look at that after. All right, let's continue. Their wedding took place on 19th of June 1999 in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. This was a departure from the weddings of his elder brothers, which were large formal events at Westminster Abbey or St. Paul's Cathedral, and had ended in divorce. See what I was saying? Yeah, sadly. Let's continue. On his wedding day, Prince Edward was created Earl of Wessex with the subsidiary title of Viscount Severn, alluding to the Welsh roots of the Countess's family, breaking from a tradition whereby sons of the sovereign were created royal dukes. Sophie had an ectopic pregnancy in 2001. Edward and Sophie have 2 children. Nice. Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, born prematurely on 8th of November 2003 due to a sudden placental abruption. Wow, thank God she was delivered safely, and she has grown up into a lovely young lady. I think she's around 18 years old. If I'm not correct, you can correct me in the comment section. I think she's about 18, but we'll check that later and I'll get back to you. Yeah, let's continue. And James Mountbatten Windsor, then Viscount Severn, now Earl of Wessex, was born on 17th of December 2007. Edward's children since 2023 are styled as the children of a duke rather than a princess, prince or princess, and royal highness. The family's country seat is Bagshot Park. Their office and official London residence is at Buckingham Palace. Oh, that's interesting. I never knew that. Learned a lot here. I hope you found it as interesting as I have. That brings us to the end of session number 4, which was called and on the community tab you'll find the playlist, and it's called Prince Edward's Life History. You'll also find in the playlist section Queen Elizabeth II's life history and Princess Royal's or Princess Anne's life history, which are his sister and his late mother. Yes, thank you for tuning in. Please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please check out the community tab for more interesting content, including Queen Elizabeth II's life history, Princess Anne's life history, and Prince Edward's life history. So today we will be continuing on with session number 5, part 2. We did session number 5, part 1 and 2. I split it into 2 segments because it was quite long. So this is the remaining part, and this 5.2, and it's called Activities. And the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So this is called session number 5.2, and it's Prince Edward's life history. So let's go. Previously, we discussed what he did in June 2011 when he visited Baltimore to meet students and staff of the Living Classrooms Foundation and encourage them to participate in Duke of Edinburgh's award program. So now we will be moving on with 2013, and that's when he visited South Africa. So let's go. In 2013, a couple visited South Africa. The Queen appointed the Earl of Wessex as Lord High Commissioner to the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland for 2014. In 2015, for his contributions to projects associated with badminton, Edward was awarded the President's Medal by the Badminton World Federation, President Paul-Eric Hoyer. In May 2016, the Earl visited Ghana alongside President Mahama. He presented young people with the Head of State Awards for their participation in the Duke of Edinburgh's International Awards Scheme. In September 2016, Edward travelled to Chile as part of the Duke of Edinburgh's Awards Diamond Anniversary and visited projects by British and Commonwealth Fire and Rescue Company and Chilean British Culture University, of which he is an honorary member and patron respectively. The Earl and Countess of Wessex represented the Queen at the 50th anniversary celebrations of Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah's accession to the throne of Brunei in October 2017. In February 2018, the Earl and Countess toured Sri Lanka, participating in the 70th Independence Day celebrations in Colombo. In April 2018, the Earl visited Australia to attend the, is this 21st Commonwealth Games? I'm not good at Roman numerals, but I'm trying here. It's XX1. I'm assuming X is 10, and then another X is 10, and then 1 behind it. Hopefully that's 21. I will correct myself in the comment section after this if I'm wrong. I think I got it right. The Earl visited Australia to attend the XX1, which I think is 21st Commonwealth Games, and attend fundraising events for those participating in the Duke of Edinburgh Award challenges. 20 years after its inception, the Wessex Youth Trust changed its name to the Earl and Countess of Wessex Charitable Trust, managed by the private office of the Earl and Countess of Wessex for FOFA. The trust will continue to develop sustainable relationships with a range of selected partner charities and will expand its remit beyond supporting children and young people. In July 2019, the Earl and Countess visited FOFA on their first official visit to the Royal, is it Borough? Never good at pronouncing things. I think I got it right. The Royal Burr, since the Queen granted Prince Edward the additional title of the do apologize. Let's read that again. Since the Queen granted Prince Edward the additional title Earl of Forfar in March 2019, the Earl was presented with Earl of Forfar tartan, which was designed by Forfar's Strathmore Woolen Company to celebrate their new titles. In 2020, he took over the patronage of London Youth from his father, who had held the position for 73 years. Wow, that's amazing. Let's continue. In February 2022, Edward was appointed president of the Royal Windsor Horse Show, a position previously held by his father, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. In the following month, he visited Kenya to oversee the progress of the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award in the country. In April 2022, the Earl and Countess of Wessex and Forfar toured St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Antigua and Barbuda to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Their planned visit to Grenada was postponed after talks with the island's government and Governor-General, and the couple expressed their hopes to visit the country on a later date. In 2022, in recognition of his role as patron of the Production Guild, the Earl of Wessex Award was created as part of the Guild's inaugural talent showcase to recognise UK film and TV organisations who have created a successful way of inspiring local talent or skills, widening access or being more inclusive. After he was created Duke of Edinburgh on his 59th birthday, Edward and Sophie visited Edinburgh to meet with members of the Ukrainian and Eastern European communities in the city, some of whom were displaced following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Edward became patron of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award upon being raised to the dukedom. And source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. If you'd like to catch up on there further, you can. Also, you can catch up on the community tab with our audio version of these. And we have Prince Edward's life history, Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and Princess Anne's life history. Yeah, so that brings us to the this. Go on to the playlist section or go onto the community tab. You'll find all the episodes in there. I think we've got parts 1 to 5 in there, and I'll include 5.2 after. Everyone, hi, welcome. This is International Royals TV. Thank you for clicking. Please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And today we'll be continuing on with Prince Edward's life history. This is session number 6, and it's called In the Media. And the source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. If you need to catch up on previous episodes, we have got a playlist, and it's called Prince Edward's life history. And you'll also find it on the community tab, and in the playlist section, we also have Queen Elizabeth II's life history and Princess Anne's life history. And session number 6 was called, I do apologize, session number 5 was called Activities, and today's session is session number 6, and it's called In the Media. So let's go. In 1999, Edward was criticised by Labour MPs John Cryer and Lindsay Hoyle for comments he made during an interview with the New York Times, in which he stated that in Britain they hate anyone who succeeds. And America is where the money is. Oh wow. The criticism prompted him to issue a statement clarifying that offending the British public was the very last thing I would have wanted to do. In 2011, close associates of Jonathan Rees private investigator connected to the News International phone hacking scandal stated that he had penetrated Edward and Sophie's bank accounts, oh my goodness, and sold details about them to the Sunday Mirror. Source I'm reading from is Wikipedia, in case you'd like to follow that up. And that brings us to the end of session number 6, which was called In the Media. Session Thank you for clicking. Please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please check out our community tab for Prince Edward's life history, Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and Princess Anne's life history. So today we'll be continuing on with session number 7. It's actually the finale of Prince Edward. Prince Edward's life history. Be sad to see him go, but we will, after this session, we will be moving on to Queen Elizabeth II's late husband, late Queen Elizabeth II and her husband, both late. Yeah, we missed them both. We'll be continuing on with Queen Elizabeth II's husband after this. So let's continue with today's session, which is called Titles, Styles, Honours and Arms. And the playlist will be on the community tab after this, so you can catch up in there as well. So I am reading from source Wikipedia. Okay, so let's go. Titles, styles, honours and arms in terms of Prince Edward's life history. Titles and styles. Until his marriage, Edward was known as His Royal Highness the Prince Edward. On 19th of June 1999, he became His Royal Highness the Earl of Wessex. Buckingham Palace announced the intention that Edward would eventually be created Duke of Edinburgh, a title then held by his father, Prince Philip, once it had merged in the crown upon the death of both of Prince Philip, once it had merged in the crown upon the death of both his parents. Okay. On 10th of March 2019, his 55th birthday, Edward was granted the additional title of Earl of Forfar for use in Scotland. Forfar or Forfar? Can't pronounce it anyway. But yeah, let's continue. So that was for use in Scotland. On his 59th birthday, 10th March 2023, Edward was created Duke of Edinburgh, thus becoming His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. His ducal or ducal, I think it's ducal title is not hereditary, so it will revert to the crown on his death. That's interesting. In 1994, the Independent Royalist Party of Estonia, aspiring to make Estonia a monarchy, sent a letter to Queen Elizabeth II requesting permission to crown Prince Edward as King of Estonia. The letter had called Edward a young British prince much admired by Estonians, adding the party would most be... Let's read that again. I do apologize. The letter had called Edward a young British prince much admired by Estonians, adding the party would be most honoured if you would accept this rare request. Buckingham Palace declined the offer, saying it was it was a charming idea, but a rather unlikely one. Wonder why. Anyway, moving on. Honours. Edward is a Royal Knight, companion of the most noble Order of the Garter, an extra knight of the most ancient and most noble Order of the Thistle, a knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order and a personal aide de camp to the sovereign. And then we are on to arms, which describes his coat of arms for the Duke of Edinburgh. And it says, the Duke's personal coat of arms is that of the Royal Arms with a label for difference. So if you like to hear or see more information about arms and the coat of arms, how it describes the Duke of Edinburgh's coat of arms, you can back that up on Wikipedia. The listing is all there, so you'll be able to catch up and read more there about the coat of arms. So that brings us to the end of session number 7, and that brings us to the end of Prince Edward's life history. Are you sad to see it go? I am. But good news is you can catch up in the playlist section. That will be all episodes will be put in the playlist, and we've also already got parts 1 to 6 in the playlist. And when this is over, I will include this inside the playlist too. So we'll have a whole playlist for Prince Edward's life history. We've already got a whole playlist for Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and we also have a whole playlist for Princess Anne, Princess Royal's life history. How fascinating it really is. I've learned a lot, and I hope you have too. So the next person we will be talking about is Queen Elizabeth II's late husband, Prince Philip. I'm very intrigued to know what his life was all about, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of episodes because he had a long life. So yeah, there'll be a lot of layers to uncover there. Yeah, so hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Please check out our community tab for all the different playlists that we have. Queen Elizabeth II's life history, Princess Anne's life history, and Prince Edward's life history. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also thumbs up as well if you haven't already, and do return. Visit us. We also have fascinating shorts videos on the channel as well, and we also have other country royals, not only the UK, not only the British royals. And as soon as we are done with the British royal family, we will be moving on to other royal families around the world, and that will be quite interesting for me. I'm especially intrigued to hear more about Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, and also the Denmark royals as well. They quite interest me, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So yeah, please could you answer our poll question before you leave? I didn't know what milk did to wrinkles until I up. If you haven't already, please could you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here. So today we are going to be starting a brand new series. I'm quite excited that we are now moving on to Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh at the time, and he was Queen Elizabeth II's husband. So I know both of them have passed away, sadly. I do miss both of them, but let's reminisce and hear a bit about the past. So, source I'm reading from is Wikipedia, and today's session is session number 1, and it's called Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. So let's go. Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, born Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, later Philip Mountbatten, 10th of June 1921 to 9th of April 2021, was the husband of Queen Elizabeth II. As such, he was the consort of the British monarch from his wife's accession on 6th February 1952 until his death in 2021, making him the longest serving royal consort in history. Wow, that's amazing. Let's continue. Philip was born in Greece into the Greek and Danish royal families. His family was exiled from the country when he was 18 months old. Wow. After being educated in France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, he joined the Royal Navy in 1939 when he was 18 years old. In July 1939, Philip began corresponding with the 13-year-old Princess Elizabeth, the elder daughter and heir presumptive of King George VI. During the Second World War, he served with distinction in the British Mediterranean and Pacific fleets. In the summer of 1946, the king granted Philip permission to marry Elizabeth, then aged 20. Wow, match made in heaven from such a young age. Let's continue. Before the official announcement of their engagement in July 1947, Philip stopped using his Greek and Danish royal titles and styles, became a naturalized British subject, and adopted his maternal grandparents' surname, Mountbatten. In November 1947, he married Elizabeth, was granted the style His Royal Highness, and was created Duke of Edinburgh, Earl of Merioneth, and Baron Greenwich. Philip left active military service when Elizabeth ascended the throne in 1952, having reached the rank of commander. In 1957, he was created a British prince. Philip had 4 children with Elizabeth: Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. A sports enthusiast, Philip helped develop the equestrian event of carriage driving. He was patron president of let's read that again. He was patron president or member of over 780 organizations, including the Worldwide Fund for Nature, and served as a chairman of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, a youth awards program for people aged 14 to 24. Philip is the longest lived male member of the British royal family. He retired from royal duties in 2017, aged 96, having completed 22,219 solo engagements. Wow, that's fabulous. That's amazing. Can you even comprehend that? 22,000 engagements. Wow. Let's continue. And 5,493 speeches since 1952. How do they even keep track of all this? So amazing. Philip died at the age of 99 at Windsor Castle. Sadly passed away. And so has Queen Elizabeth II. It's nice to reminisce on their life. So that brings us to the end of session number 1, which is in terms of Prince Philip's life history. And next session will be session number 2, and that will be called Clicking. So today we will be continuing on with Prince Philip's life history, and we are on session number 2. Previously we did session number 1, and that was an introduction to his life. And if you've missed out on that, You'll find it in the playlist section and on the community tab. And today's session is called Early Life and Education, and session number 2. And source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So let's go. Early life and education in terms of Prince Philip's life history, family, infancy, and exile from Greece. Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark was born on 10th of June 1921 on the dining room table in Mon Repos. Wow, on the dining room table. A villa on the Greek island of Corfu. He was the only son and fifth and final child of Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark and his wife, Princess Alice of Battenberg. Philip's father was the fourth son of King George I and Queen Olga of Greece. And his mother was the eldest child of Louis Mountbatten, first Marquis of Hilfred Haven, and Victoria Mountbatten, Marchioness of Milford Haven, formerly Prince Louis of Battenberg, and Princess Victoria of Hesse and by Rhine. I hope I pronounced that well. Hesse or Hesse. I think it's Hesse. By Rhine. Okay, let's continue. A member of the House of Glucksburg, Philip was a prince of both Greece and Denmark by virtue of his patrilineal descent from George I of Greece and George's father, Christian. I'm not so good with Roman numerals. It's a 1 and an X. So you can let me know that in the comment section. So Christian, I'm not sure what his number is, of Denmark. He was from birth in the line of succession to both thrones. Philip's 4 elder sisters were Margarita, Theodora, Cecil, and Sophie. He was baptized in the Greek Orthodox rite at St. George's Church in the old fortress in Corfu. His godparents were his maternal, let's read that again. His godparents were his paternal grandmother, his cousin, Crown Prince George of Greece, his uncle, Lord Louis Mountbatten, and the mayor of Corfu, Alexandros Kokotos. Let's hope I pronounced that right. Let's continue. Shortly after Philip's birth, his maternal grandfather died in London. The Marquis of Milford Haven was a naturalized British subject who, after a career in the Royal Navy, had renounced his German titles and adopted the surname Mountbatten, an Angelicalized version of Battenberg. During the First World War, owing to anti-German sentiment in the United Kingdom, after visiting London for his grandfather's memorial service, Philip and his mother returned to Greece, where Prince Andrew had remained to command a Greek army division embroiled in the Greco-Turkish War. Greece suffered significant losses in the war, and the Turks made substantial gains. Philip's uncle and high commander of the Greek expeditionary, sorry, I can't pronounce that. I do apologize. Expeditionary, I think that is, correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. Philip's uncle and high commander of the Greek expeditionary force, King Constantine I, was blamed for the defeat and was forced to abdicate in September 1922. The new military government arrested Andrew along with others. General Georgioi, sorry I can't pronounce these, Haitian Nestis was among commanding officer of the army, and 5 senior politicians were arrested, tried, and executed in the trial of the 6th. Oh my gosh. Andrew's life was also believed to be in danger, and Alice was under surveillance. Finally, in December, a revolutionary, do apologize, a revolutionary court banished Andrew from Greece for life. Oh, wow. The British naval vessel HMS Calypso evacuated Andrew's family with Philip carried to safety in a fruit box. Wow. In a fruit box as a baby. This is very interesting. I find it so interesting. I never knew all this. And we are discussing Prince Philip's life history, which was Queen Elizabeth II's husband. I know both of them have passed away. Both of them are late now, so it's quite nice to reminisce on their life history. So let's move on to upbringing in France, Britain, and Germany. Philip's family settled in a house in the Paris suburb of St. Cloud, lent to him by his wealthy aunt, Princess George of Greece and Denmark. During his time there, Philip was first educated at the Elms, an American school in Paris run by Donald McJanet, who described Philip as a know-it-all smarty. What? Who described Philip as a know-it-all smarty person. Okay, but was always remarkably polite. Ah, that's cool. In 1930, Philip was sent to Britain to live with his maternal grandmother at Kensington Palace and his uncle, George Mountbatten, 2nd Marquis of Milford Haven, at Linden Manor in Bray, Berkshire. I think it's Berkshire. He was then enrolled at Jeeves School. Over the next 3 years, his 4 sisters married German princes and moved to Germany. His mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia and placed in an asylum. Oh, wow. And his father took up residence in Monte Carlo. Philip had little contact with his mother for the remainder of his childhood. Ah, wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Source I'm reading from is Wikipedia if you'd like to follow up on any of this. And we've also got an audio playlist in the playlist section, and it's called Prince Philip's Life History, and you'll also find out on the Prince tab as well. So let's continue. Yeah, Philip had little contact with his mother for the remainder of his childhood. I found that quite sad. In 1933, Philip was sent to Schloss. Oh gosh, I'm so bad at pronouncing things. I can't pronounce these. I'll do my best. Schloss Salem. Anyone correct me in the comment section if you can pronounce these things better than I can. Let's continue. So he was sent to in that place in Germany, which had the advantage of saving school fees, okay, because it was owned by the family of his brother-in-law, Berthold Margrave of Baden. With the rise of Nazism in Germany, Salem's Jewish founder Kurt Hahn fled persecution and founded Gordonstoun School in Scotland, to which Philip moved after 2 terms at Salem. In 1937, his sister Cecil, her husband George Donatus, hereditary Grand Duke of Hesse, I think it's Hesse, their 2 sons, and George Donatus' mother, Donatus or Donatus? Donatus' mother, were killed in an air crash. Oh my gosh, in Austin. Oh no. Philip, then 16 years old, attended the funeral in Darmstadt. Oh, he had quite a tough upbringing, you know. Had a quite tough start to life. Cecil and George Donatus were members of the Nazi Party. The following year, Philip's uncle and guardian, Lord Milford Haven, died of bone marrow cancer. Milford Haven's younger brother, Lord Louis, took parental responsibility for Philip for the remainder of his youth. He had quite a tough upbringing. Let's continue. Philip did not speak Greek because he had left Greece as an infant. In 1992, he said that he could understand a certain amount. He stated that he thought of himself as Danish and spoke mostly English, while his family was multilingual. Known for his charm in his youth, Philip was linked to several women, including Osla Benning. Interesting. Let's continue. So we've got, okay, I think that brings us to the end of this session number 2. And in session number 3, we are going to talk about naval and war. Thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here. So today we will be continuing on with Prince Philip's life history, and we are on session number 3. If you haven't previously seen the other episodes, you'll find it on the community tab and in the playlist section, and it's called Prince Philip's life history. So today we will be doing session number 3, and it's called Naval and Wartime Service in terms of Prince Philip's life history. And I'm reading from source Wikipedia. So let's go. After leaving Gordonstoun in early 1939, Philip completed a term as a cadet at the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, then repatriated, sorry if I mispronounced that, then repatriated to Greece. Okay, living with his mother in Athens for a month in mid-1939. At the behest of King George II of Greece, his first cousin, he returned to Britain in September to resume training for the Royal Navy. He graduated from Dartmouth the next year as the best cadet in his course. Wow, that's amazing. During the Second World War, he continued to serve in the British forces, while 2 of his brothers-in-law, Prince Christoph of Hesse and Berthold Margrave of Baden, fought on the opposing German side. Philip was appointed as a midshipman in January 1940. He spent 4 months on the battleship HMS Ramillies, I think, protecting convoys of the Australian Expeditionary Force. Expeditionary Force in the Indian Ocean, followed by shorter postings on HMS Kent and on on HMS Kent, on HMS Shropshire, and in British Ceylon, or Ceylon or Ceylon. After the invasion of Greece by Italy in October 1940, he was transferred from the Indian Ocean to the battleship HMS Valiant in the Mediterranean Fleet. We are talking about Prince Philip's life history, so let's continue. Philip was commissioned as a sub-lieutenant on 1st of February 1941 after a series of courses at Portsmouth, in which he gained the top grade in 4 out of 5 sections of the qualifying examination. Among other engagements, he was involved in the Battle of Crete, and was mentioned in dispatches for his service during the Battle of Cape Matapan, in which he controlled the battleship's searchlights. He was also awarded the Greek War Cross. In June 1942, he was appointed to the destroyer HMS Wallace, which was involved in convoy escort tasks on the east coast of Britain, as well as the Allied invasion of Sicily. Promotion to lieutenant followed on 16th of July 1942. In October of the same year, aged 21, Philip became first lieutenant of HMS Wallace. He was one of the youngest first lieutenants in the Royal Navy during the invasion of Sicily in July 1943. As second in command of Wallace, he saved his ship from a night bomber attack. Wow, that's amazing. He devised a plan to launch a raft with smoke floats that successfully distracted the bombers. I am reading from source Wikipedia, by the way, and this is Prince Philip's life history. So don't get alarmed. This all happened in the 1942s and 1943. So I'm just reading from Wikipedia, so don't be alarmed. Okay, so let's continue. He devised a plan to launch a raft with smoke floats that successfully distracted the bombers, allowing the ship to slip away unnoticed. In 1944, he moved to the new destroyer HMS Whelp, where he saw service with the British Pacific Fleet in the 27th Destroyer Flotilla. He was present in Tokyo Bay when the Japanese instrument of surrender was signed. Philip returned to the United Kingdom on the Whelp in January 1946 and was posted as an instructor of HMS Royal Arthur, the Petty Officers' School in Corsham, Wiltshire. Wiltshire or Wiltshire? I'm so bad at pronouncing things. Just like to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. That brings us to the end of session number 3, which was called Naval and Wartime. Previously, we did session number 2, which discussed Prince Philip's early life and upbringing, and early life and education, and thanks for clicking. Please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel with notification bell turned on if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here. So today's session is session number 4, and we are talking about Prince Philip's life history. And session number 4 is called Marriage. If you haven't already previously seen our previous episodes, you can catch up in the playlist section and also on the community tab, and it's called Prince Philip's Life History. So let's get on with session number 4, and it's called Marriage. in terms of Prince Philip's life history, and source I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So let's go. Marriage. In 1939, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth toured the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, during the visit. The Queen and Lord Louis Mountbatten asked his nephew Philip to escort the royal couple's daughters, 13-year-old Elizabeth and 9-year-old Margaret, who were Philip's third cousins through Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom and second cousins once removed through King Christian IX of Denmark. Philip and Elizabeth had first met as children in 1934 at the wedding of Elizabeth's uncle, Prince George, Duke of Kent, to Philip's first cousin, Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark. After their 1939 meeting, Elizabeth fell in love with Philip and they began to exchange letters. Ah, how sweet. Eventually, in the summer of 1946, Philip asked George VI for his daughter's hand in marriage. The king granted his request, provided that any formal engagement be delayed until Elizabeth's 21st birthday, the following April. By March 1947, Philip had adopted the surname Mountbatten from his mother's family and had stopped using his Greek and Danish royal titles upon becoming a naturalized British subject. The engagement was announced to the public on 9th of July 1947. The engagement attracted some controversy. Philip had no financial standing, was foreign born, and had sisters who had married German noblemen with Nazi links. Marion Crawford wrote, "Some of the king's advisors did not think him good enough for her." Oh, wow. He was a prince without home or kingdom. Some of the papers played long and loud tunes on the string of Philip's foreign origin. Okay, let's continue. Later, biographies reported that Elizabeth's mother had reservations about the union initially and teased Philip as the Hun. In later life, however, she told the biographer Tim Hild that Philip was an English gentleman, though Philip appeared always to have regarded himself as Anglican, and he had attended Anglican services with his classmates and relations in England and throughout his Royal Navy days. He was baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Geoffrey Fisher, wanted to regularize Philip's position by officially receiving him into the Church of England, which he did in October 1947. The day before the wedding, the king bestowed the style of Royal Highness on Philip, and on the morning of the wedding, 20th of November 1947, he was made the Duke of Edinburgh, Earl of Merioneth, and Baron Greenwich of Greenwich in the County of London. Consequently, being already a Knight of the Garter between 19th and 20th November 1947, he bore the usual style Lieutenant, His Royal Highness Sir Philip Mountbatten, and so described in the letters patent of 20th of November 1947. Philip and Elizabeth were married in a ceremony at Westminster Abbey, recorded and broadcast by BBC Radio to 200 million people around the world. Wow, that's amazing. In post-war Britain, it was unacceptable for any of Philip's German relations, including his 3 surviving sisters, to be invited to the wedding. Okay. After their marriage, Philip and Elizabeth took residence at Clarence House. Their first 2 children were born before Elizabeth's accession in 1952. Prince Charles in November 1948 and Princess Anne in August 1950. The couple's marriage was the longest of any British monarch, lasting over 73 years until Philip died in 2021. Sadly passed away. Let's continue. Concerned by her father's poor health, Elizabeth insisted that Philip gave up smoking, which he did cold turkey on their wedding day. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Most people find it hard to quit, but he did really well. Okay, let's continue. Philip was introduced to the House of Lords on 21st of July 1948, immediately before his uncle Louis Mountbatten, who had been Earl Mountbatten of Burma. Philip ostensibly never spoke in the House of Lords. He, his sons, and other royals ceased to be members of the House of Lords following the House of Lords Act in 1999, although Philip's former brother-in-law, Lord Snowdon, remained in the House. That brings us to the end of session number 4, and that was called Marriage, and that's in terms of Prince Philip's life history. And the next session will be called Early Duties, and that will be please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The notification bell turn on so you won't miss another upload. So today we will be continuing on with Prince Philip's life history. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes, you'll find it in